Today's episode is presented by
T-Mobile.
Yes. Just so we do it, today's episode is sponsored by T-Mobile, the Uncarrier.
And today is also the day after Comic-Con, so we're a little rusty. A little rough around the edges.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Watching Thrones post-Comic-Cons. We all have half a voice. Welcome in. This is where we're going to talk Game of Thrones the morning after. I'm Michele Boyd, and I am joined by my war council next to me here. As always, Spencer Gilbert.
Yes. The Iron Islands will take, let's say, Dorne. Why not?
Because exactly. The lovely and beauteous Roth Cornet.
Oh, so many lies. Thank you. But I'll take the lies. I'm so tired today. I'll just choose to believe them.
And today we are also joined by Danielle Radford.
Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Man, wow.
And I have great news. We are also joined by a very, very special guest, self-proclaimed Game of Thrones superfan and Tony Award winner, Kristin Chenoweth.
Yay! Welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. I'm sorry about this.
No.
We're sorry we have the same thing going here.
Oh, you guys look great.
Thank you.
Were you at Comic-Con for American Gods? Were you there?
At Comic-Con?
Yeah.
No, I went last year for American Gods, and I didn't get to go this year, but the first time I went to Comic-Con, I was like, I don't get it. It's a mall, like without like shops, but with just people, and then I'm falling in love with it. And
It's shopping, but with costumes.
yes, and I thought, well, this would be my dream mall. So it's fun. Comic-Con is really fun.
Awesome. But you watched last night's episode, Dragonstone. What did you think just overall?
Well, I first of all, I love, I watch every Game of Thrones, and I don't want to ever talk bad about it because I don't ever want to do that. But I know that right now, what it seems like the writers are doing is laying out a lot of dialogue so that we can be reminded of what's happened in the past and also what they for sure want to go in the future. So there's a lot of talking, and I love that. But I will say it is a nice break when you see him cut, I forget that, I'm terrible at their character's name, so you just have to forgive me, but him cut the disease off of
Sir Friendzone's scab picking was a great one.
we will definitely be getting to that too.
I don't know. The Citadel is becoming a very disgusting place each week.
I don't like it.
It's like each week they just try to gross us out more, right?
Yeah, considering it's a place of healing and knowledge, it is not hygienic.
No, it's like the potty pad.
It's like the bathroom at Comic-Con.
But you guys, then you think if you were alive back then, just think about it. Would you want to be in a war in like armor that you can't move on, or would you rather be there? Or would you rather be? If you're not lucky enough to be in King's Court or anything, where would you rather be? I guess I'd probably rather be there. It sucks. But
Yeah.
But at least you have access to books. I mean,
That's something.
Kinda.
Can you imagine? And maybe a bath here and there every other month?
Let's be real.
No, it's fine. Dirt cleans you. It's fine.
We would all last maybe a week.
Not even.
Maybe not even.
Not even a week.
30 minutes is
30
minutes.
So, yeah, let's just jump right into this. So our top story tonight. Hi. Oh, God.
I love
Good
that it's
morning.
like, let's just do this like your newscaster. Top story from Westeros.
Top story from Westeros tonight. What's going on? Theon is dead. Long live Reek.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And what'd you say?
How betrayed was everyone?
Don't you think that was like a just sort of a understandable PTSD flashback when he saw them being tortured? And he just, to me, that was a very real moment. And it was like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the ending of it. I won't say what it is, but it's like the only honest reaction to what you would do in that situation, which is just run.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Well, would you jump or would you fight, Kristin?
It's hard to say because I'm just a survivor by nature, if you know what I mean. I would probably fight, but I certainly can't understand jumping. And I so wanted him to go run over there. I wanted him, to be honest with you, I wanted him to all of a sudden be a masterful knife killer and all of a sudden go, and the knife go in his head, and then his sister would be like, oh my gosh, he can do it. And that's what I wanted. But him jumping, I totally got. Look look at the guy's life. Can we just...
Oh, it's great acting there. You can see it wash over his face where he turns back into the guy he used to be.
Alfie Allen is one of my favorte actors on the
He's got
show
a great
because
sad
he's
face.
got such an interesting arc. And I mean, hey, not everyone can have that redemptive hero arc.
No, they can't. God bless him. It's weird. At the end, everyone knows I'm a big prayer. I'm like, why am I praying for these characters? They're not.
They're all bad people.
Yeah, and they're not real. Like, stop.
They're not all bad. They're complicated.
They're all shades of
people.
gray,
They're
yeah.
all shades of gray. I will say it was a disappointing moment, but I thought it was a very real moment, and I was glad that choice was made.
And maybe now, because he did escape and like jump into the water, maybe there's a chance that he can come back and redeem himself at another time.
Yeah, so where are they off the coast of? Are they off the coast of Dorne? Or
It's hard to say. I mean,
where's he going to end up when he washes
How did Euron
ashore?
even find them
Thank you.
in
Who
the dark?
Who
Two
snitched?
questions for everyone.
Somebody
For-
did.
So,
Somebody
right,
snitched.
how did Euron know where to find them, and how did he know specifically which boat they were all on? And by the way, why were they all on the same boat instead of separating?
No. I'm confused. Can somebody please help?
It does seem a little too convenient.
We can only
that-
speculate.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's just getting into, first of all, how did Euron build 1,000 ships to begin with? But
Well,
how
that's the
did
thing.
he
In
know?
we don't have the book bell. Because in the books,
No.
and I'm usually not the one that takes this position, but Euron is like way more mystical and kind of magical, and he's into more sorcery and stuff like that, which might help explain in the show why he's kind of everywhere at once. He's got a bunch of magic artifacts with him in the books. He's a lot more crazy and into himself, if you can believe it.
He's getting crazy.
He's getting crazy.
Yes.
We got to see that. That was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, Kristin, was this a thing where Euron actually redeemed himself? Because I know a lot of people last week were like, okay, guy liner, like, who the heck are you, and what are you doing coming into the throne room with no gift? Who are you trying to fool?
Yeah, I think he did a little bit. And, I'm always, and I know this is kind of weird to say, but I'm always scared that he, or how we love Arya, she's peeling off and then becoming someone else. I'm like, is he doing that? Like, at this point, and you guys know the books probably way better than me. I don't know them, I'm embarrassed to say. But I
No,
bet
that's
you-
better. We all know the books and we're sick of them. So we want show-only perspective. This is good.
Well, maybe just like, maybe, who knows, maybe half of these people, and then the lady that's a million years old, like Tales from the Crypt, that's gorgeous.
Melisandre, yes.
Is somebody different face? I mean, who knows at this point?
I want Kristin Chenoweth's alternate names for
Me
everyone.
too.
Tales of the Crypt, but gorgeous.
We all just want her necklace.
That. I'm like, there's Tales from the Crypt lady. Arya for me and Cersei are two great roles written for women, and I mean, one is a nasty biatch, but I don't know. I just like how strong they are.
Yeah, speaking of, can we talk for a moment about how women have essentially extinguished all major family lines in this book and in this show? Like, because you've got Ilaria, who wiped out the Martells.
Yep.
You have Dany, who wiped out, like, everybody in Essos. You have Sansa, who wiped out the Boltons. You have
right.
Arya, who wiped out the Grey, or the
Freys,
Freys. I mean, women are kind of just totally, and Cersei, of course, wiped out the Baratheons.
Yep.
Everyone's just kind of taken over at this point. I'm liking this woman-only direction it's going.
I definitely am liking it, and I'm liking just in general how lots of television. I know in American Gods, that's what Brian and Michael are so cognizant of like, being a woman back then, like now I'm like, oh gosh, I have a nail appointment and I'm supposed to pick up my shirt for that photo shoot. When do oh my gosh, meltdown. They're like, oh my gosh, I accidentally cut off my hand and I don't have a tampon, which weren't invented yet. Ow, I have syphilis. I think that I choose today.
To be fair, I had most of those problems last week.
I want your review of every show on television. Can I ask you, so as
got it,
somebody
baby. Yeah.
with the book perspective, is something like, I'm curious, because if we can justify to ourselves going like, well, magic helped him find it, if that isn't present in the show, that explanation isn't present in the show, then does it need another explanation for something like how Euron found them? Does it need a more grounded explanation, or are we just good with the fact that we get that it's magic?
He's crazy.
He's crazy good. They made him pretty menacing.
I think we accept a lot of things that we normally, as an act, I'll just tell you, as an actor looking at it, there are some times where, like last night, I'm like, how long did it take to make all those votes? Like, how do they know? As an actor, I question some things that way, but I also, as a viewer, find myself just accepting things, going, I don't need to know, or perhaps it'll be explained later, but it's not something I'm mad at. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there are only 11 episodes left. How much are we really going to get?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, we all know now that Qyburn obviously has the best candy in Westeros because Varys' little birds are non-existent. Yeah, he knew
How did
nothing
Varys
about
not see this
Euron.
coming? How did they not send one ship ahead to be like, hey, give me a heads up if you see a giant pirate fleet?
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, but the scene itself, what did you guys think of the battle? That I thought was great. I thought it was a good battle sequence to put in the middle of an otherwise, like you were saying, a lot of sort of exposition and still setup episode to keep us engaged. It was pretty brutal the way that they dealt with the sand snakes. Was that a nod to the audience and how they felt about Dorne?
I was going to ask Danielle, do you even care that the sand snakes are gone?
I like the sand snakes.
Really?
I did. I think I'm the only one. I kind of liked them. I enjoyed them. I got bummed out when Colleen Wing died. It was a bummer. I do. I mean, obviously, so much of this is in order to win over Cersei. So, of course, it's going to be really, really brutal what he does to them because he's going to be able to go back and say, oh, I super murdered these two, and now look at what I have brought you for you to super murder.
And slowly.
Slowly.
Yeah, but the scene itself, I mean, his entrance was one of the all-time great entrances.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that was
on
pretty
a
cool.
show.
Yeah.
With that weird, like, bridge tooth thing that he created and ran across on was awesome.
Because aside from Errol Flynn, how are you really going to swing from one boat to the other?
Yeah.
Okay, you found the coolest way to do
He
it.
found the
man.
coolest way.
I
Crush
wonder
a
how
guy.
they thought about, I mean, was that in the book? I wonder how they were rehearsing one day and it's like, hang on, I got an idea, you know?
Yeah, no, not specifically. We do know his prowess, and he has a really, really bad reputation as a crow's eye, as a badass pirate. So we know that he has done this to other ships, but we've never seen it.
One thing we know in the books, ding, is that he cuts out the tongues of people whose ship he boards to replenish his crew, and there was one cutaway shot to some guy cutting a tongue out, which is a nice little nod.
Nice little nods.
Yeah, his ship, I think, is called the Silence, and it's so that they can't mutiny against him, so they can't even speak. They all have their tongues cut out. Pretty intense.
Welcome to Westeros.
Yeah, all fun and games.
Hey.
But the scene itself, I don't know, it was pretty frenetic, like very close up. It wasn't like Battle of the Bastards level, but it was cool. I just wish. I'm not a fan of the Sand Snakes. I think I'm in the majority here, and I think how much cooler that would have been if last season had done a better service by them, and it'd been like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I was rooting for them. Instead, you're like, oh good, they killed Lady Jar Jar 1 and 2.
We don't have to care anymore. But now we know who the gifts are.
Yeah.
We've got Yara, we have Ilaria, and we have Sand Snake number 3.
And it's not going to go well for them at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, Arya killed Marcella.
Yeah.
Cersei's last baby.
Yeah,
Baby
it's
child.
not going to be
And
great.
the really sweet child. Her and
And Tommen, they were both nice.
They were both
Definitely.
really sweet.
Tommen was nice. Aw, rest in peace, Tommen.
Oh, Tommen. All right, well, I mean, we've got the sea battle. We can head north.
Oh.
If
Yes.
we like. We're going to go to, let's see. So we have Dany kind of opening the show with her war council. Everyone's standing around that awesome table and listening to Tyrion's plan to go through. I don't know. What did you guys think about everyone kind of weighing in? Was it good advice? Was there bad advice?
I think that it was really nice. I did enjoy that it was just this council of ladies and then also Tyrion there. That was a really nice thing to see. It's interesting because you do all off, like as viewers, we automatically trust Tyrion. And so then to hear someone later say like, no, you have to trust yourself, like you can't trust anyone. And you especially can't trust clever men is interesting because we literally hear Dany parroting the things that he's saying. And then later having that conversation. So it's almost weird for me as a viewer and as someone who has read the books that now we're being put in a position to start questioning Tyrion. Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
Yeah, Kristin, should Dany listen to Tyrion or should she be the dragon?
I have a feeling that Dany's going to do whatever Dany wants, which is kind of why I like her. I think she listens to everyone's opinion. And wasn't there a scene last night where she and Diana Rigg had a conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for me, watching that scene, I mean, it sounds really silly, but I like love that she was mentoring her in a way. And I have a feeling that she's going to come to rely more on, like, I call her Diana Rigg, more than Tyrion. And I will always forever and forever love Tyrion. There's no question. But I think he is his DNA, and I do worry about that because I think sometimes people just are they who they are. But we love him, but it wouldn't be surprising to me if he was like, did it all to please his brother or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But Diana, I'm like with Diana Rigg. And like,
So you agree with her advice to Dany that powerful women should occasionally ignore clever men?
yeah.
But
I don't know.
Point of contention.
Point of contention as well.
Diana Rigg, as much as I love her, she has a lot of personal skin in this game, which is that she just hates Cersei at this point. She's not looking to like rule or like bring the kingdom to heel. She wants to burn her down for what she did to her daughter.
Yeah, her granddaughter. And I feel like in addition to that, this idea, I love that they've put us as the viewer in the position to have no idea who is right, you know? And we can have that internal debate just like puts us in the position of the character going like, I'm not sure because at the end of the episode, it looked like Yara was probably right. They should have gone straight to King's Landing and taken it over. But Tyrion has a point that you have to do this a little politically if you want to continue to rule. It's also giving Cersei a chance to do her propaganda campaign that we predicted she would do. So who's right? Like, be the dragon? That could turn her into the mad queen that we're all afraid she could become. If she really allows herself to be the dragon unremittingly, is that really the best thing? Yeah. I don't know. Kristin Chenoweth, you tell us.
I don't know. I think there's a part of me, and I think I'm speaking for all the women there. I mean, we keep saying it, how strong the women are, but gosh, I would love to, I hope that she takes that power and be the dragon and is the best possible Dany that we could know and love. That's what I hope. But, you know, we are at Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And tongues are chopped and skin is peeled and, you know, I don't know. I honestly don't know because I'm going to tell y'all something. When I first started watching the show, I was like, Dany,
Right.
Now I'm like, I will take a bullet for her. So, you know, I don't know. That's a good question, you guys. It's a very good question. I hope she does it for the good. And I hope, I mean, I want to see her stand tall. I don't know where you guys land, but I've seen your show a couple times. But I want to see her stand tall. And Cersei is just, you know, first of all, that actress is incredible and she's probably my favorite character on the thing. But man, she's got to go.
Lena Headey is amazing. Lena Headey is fantastic.
But the fact that we hate her so much is why she has to stick around.
She
because
will
we
actually
need some
probably
good
stay.
antagonists.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kristin. I wanted your opinion on that scene in particular, and I have one final question for you. Who do you think is going to sit the Iron Throne at the end?
You know, I've been going back and forth that maybe it's going to be shared. Maybe it's going to be Jon Snow and Dany. They're going to be in love. But
Just split it down the middle.
Yeah, that's just my weird thing. But I don't think it can ever be down the middle, which is why if they did something like that, they'd have to continue the show, and we know they're not. So I'm going to go with Dany. And I want to show you guys before I go, I want to show you my dog. For sure.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
Game of Bones.
Game of Bones. That's
Oh my
so
gosh.
cute.
What a cute direwolf.
I know. That scene last night, I was like, it's the wolf. Anyway, we love you guys, and thank you for doing the show.
Thank
we
you.
love
And,
you.
and happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
By the way. Happy birthday.
Let's get her a roll season 8.
Let's sing you happy. Do you have anything you want to promote or anything? Everyone should be watching American Gods first and foremost because
Yes.
it is
Yeah,
amazing.
catch up on that. for
Kristin
sure.
Chenoweth's Easter is amazing.
Thank you. I'm trying to get my dog to go swimming. Not going to do it, but thanks you guys, and God bless. Have a good day, would you?
Thank you.
Thanks,
You too.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. We decided happy birthday was a bad idea.
We're not going to
To the
sing for
Tonys.
Kristin.
Yeah, I'm not singing for Kristin Chenoweth, not with my Comic-Con voice.
Comic-Con voice, but that would just be insulting.
I do agree with her. I want Dany to unleash the dragon Cisco style. Just become the dragon.
But what if she becomes
I'm glad they
Drop the thong song on Westeros.
What if she gets fully power mad?
What if she's going to
talking
become
about
the Mad
bloodlines?
Queen? I
I
know.
mean, she'd win, but what would she rule over? It's the
Yeah.
ashes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay. We're gonna come back to Dany because we definitely have more to talk about with her right at the very end of the show. But I want to kind of keep going north now that Dany has decided to send Jon a message telling him to come and bend the knee. And Jon has to, once again, address, as you said, Roth, this morning, a very skeptical group of Northmen, once again, to try to convince them that what he has already decided is a good idea.
You know, it's such an interesting thing because there was that moment where they're again arguing in public, and there was a part of me that's like, well, wouldn't you guys just go aside at this point and be like, all right, we're gonna have this meeting. Let's just sidebar, get on the same page, go in with a united message. Last time it was sort of like friction inducing. And I get dramatically why the scene was written that way, because it gets to be this moment of surprise for the audience and for Sansa that he's gonna bestow upon her the power, and we get to see Littlefinger be delighted. But don't you think they should just be talking?
Yeah, that one's on Jon. That's information that he should probably share beforehand, that like, I'm gonna have you rule and I'm gonna walk out on everyone. I hope you're cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, clearly this is like, either all of those people live in that room or this is like a weekly meeting. Well, you guys, we've got to go to the conference. It's the conference call day. We've got to catch up on the week. So there definitely feels like in between the time when all those people get on their horses and come up, you could have pulled your sister aside and been like, hey, so just so you know.
FYI.
This is what's happening.
I understand his complaint about her arguing with him in public for sure, because again, like, didn't we just talk about this? And it's not helping them as the Starks.
But this is a huge bombshell to drop on her.
Sure. Yeah. I just think in general, they both should be talking to each other outside of in the moment of announcement to the rest of the people that they have to convince.
Yeah. I totally agree. Again, like, didn't we just talk about this? Yeah, bro, keep me in on the loop.
It's more dramatic if we pull it out of our butts at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, so I can just have you argue with me until I name you Queen of the North, and then you're just like, okay, I'm going to shut up
Good
now.
scene.
Thanks. All right. Good call.
Is that
Thanks.
a moment of falling into a trope, though? What do you think?
Yeah, I understand that. I think that if you think about the alternative of showing us this meeting between the two of them just sitting there and being like, we're cool with this, right? Yeah, that takes out some of the suspense of the meeting. So, okay, it's a little TV magic there. But I totally get Sansa's reaction, at least initially, of being abandoned again to be with all these other dudes who she just assumes she's going to be subservient to, again, trapped in this cycle that she's been in since season 1. So her panic in that moment and her like speaking up and be like, whoa, actually rang really true to me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I do. I just agree that they should be talking, and I really think I don't know. I'm not really sure if Jon can entirely trust Dany at this point, because Dany is pretty much just going to want him to bend the knee and kind of submit to the Seven Kingdoms. I mean, Sansa has a really good point. Dany's not there to just rule like the bottom half of the continent. She's there to rule all of it. So I'm just not really sure if I agree that Jon should have been the one to go down. I'm like, we've been using emissaries the entire show. It's fine.
It's got to be king to queen, otherwise it won't count.
Is there something too about the idea that he never wanted this power, and that typically speaking, people that don't want power are the people that should have it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, when we asked Kristin who we thought would sit the Iron Throne, it took me back to what Varys was saying in the throne room. It's like, we could end up with democracy or something. Like, he's
That's
like,
been my
I'm going to
prediction.
listen to the people, and you tell me what the people are saying. Like, could they all abdicate the throne and be like,
This is like we are the
hands
champions.
across Westeros, and just direct democracy? I don't know how that would work. Maybe everyone, writes it on a piece of parchment or something like that.
That's been my prediction for the entire time, that because they were also bringing the wildlings across who don't bend the knee and don't have this perception of a monarchy, that those ideas, and like with the ruinousness of everything, that those ideas could sort of merge and create some semblance of a democracy.
And before we move too far on ahead, I am checking your guys' tweets at #WatchingThrones, so keep those coming in. And a lot of people are more unhappy than we were with the battle sequence.
Interesting.
Yeah, Kingslayer bringing up that the Sand Snakes didn't use poison on their weapons this time.
That was
That was
a
weird.
good
What
point.
happened
Which
there?
they've
I thought
done
that
every other
same
time.
thing, yeah.
And Chris Schmidt's writing that, I hope you're skewering the physics-defying jump cut fueled battle scene. Well, I mean, they got to save money for later in the season.
I stopped caring about physics the moment I stopped caring about jetpacks.
Yeah, you gotta put aside. We only have so many episodes
11
left.
episodes left.
Guys, keep your tweets coming in at #WatchingThrones.
And we actually do have another caller right now on Skype, which you can Skype in.
Have
We
they
would
won
love
any
to talk
Tonys?
to you guys. Yeah, tell us what you think about the battles. I want to know what you think about Jon. Do you have someone on the line right now? Very cool. Who are you? Where are you calling from? Hi.
I am Eric from Philly.
What's up, Eric?
Hi, Eric.
So I love the episode. From top to bottom, I thought it was great, and I thought the battle was great.
Is Euron like cool in your eyes now? Did we forgive him that crap scene last week?
Yeah, he came off a little Joker to me with that laugh at the end a little bit, but the way he went full berserk, it completely sold me. I said, this is Euron Greyjoy.
Yeah, the fight skills were pretty cool, but it was a little like, I'm a psychopath, remember?
Damaged.
Did the no poison bother you, Danielle, and you, Eric? No poison?
Yes, I sometimes find it hard to believe that the Sand Snakes are the daughter of the Red Viper, to be honest.
Definitely.
It's kind of a fitting end for show version of the Sand Snakes that they just forget to do the one thing they're good at
And that's
die.
what I'm almost wondering is like in a lot of these, the Sand Snakes, they position themselves so that they can be, that they are the ones who are inciting these incidents, dip their stuff into it.
Yeah.
How long does it last, I wonder, on the weapon?
Right. Do you reapply it every night?
Yeah.
Is it like
You have
the
to. I mean, I
face
imagine
mask?
they don't just walk around with everything poisoned every minute of the day.
Yeah, that would be
but
bad.
Still. I mean, you're on a ship, things are moving around, you slip accidentally,
Like, I'm poisoned.
Oh, crap. But at the same time, it's a battle. You can take a second, if you're going straight into
Don't
it.
bring a whip to an axe fight.
No.
Not so much, although the dagger throwing was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Eric, very much. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Love you guys. Love the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Eric. Yay.
Bye.
Before we leave the North entirely, I want to talk a quick second about that nice little scene in the crypts with Jon and Littlefinger. What the heck, Littlefinger? Why you gotta go down and be all creepery?
Yeah, doesn't he know how this ends? Is the multi-generational beatdown of Littlefinger talking about how he's hitting on one of their female relatives. Like, this doesn't end well for you, dude.
Well, and see, now I'm wondering if, like, we already know that Littlefinger, he's got to have something that he's planning, and he's finding a way to fit this in, and maybe it is just, I'm going to romance Sansa, and it's going to be me and Sansa, and whatever. But now he has a concrete reason to have a vendetta against Jon Snow.
Yeah.
And you can see that in that last bit after he's done being real choked, where he's like, he's super angry and upset, and then when he walks out into the courtyard and you can see Sansa up on the balcony, and he's looking at her like now he has a reason to have vengeance because Littlefinger's whole reason for being Littlefinger is getting back at the people who have humiliated him, and now Jon has humiliated him. So that's one of those moves where I understand that Jon is protecting Sansa, but I don't know if that was a really good move, because now...
Yeah, but I mean, in Littlefinger's eyes, like he's like, that's my future brother-in-law. Like, I gotta make nice with this guy when the wedding happens. Because I do think now that... I used to think he had a grand plan. I think it now begins and ends in Sansa's pants. I don't think he's going beyond, like, I just need to marry a Stark woman. I don't think he's really interested in anything beyond that now.
I think he's not interested in anything other than the Iron Throne. I think that having Sansa is a coup for him, and it's sort of like, you know how people in a way, we're all driven by whatever happened in our childhoods, and everything we do for the rest of our lives is about solving that. He got rejected by this woman that he loved, and now having that again, in a way, I feel like solves that wound for him. But I think what he really wants is power. He really wants the Iron Throne because he feels tiny. He feels like he was humiliated his whole life and he had no power, and he wants all of the power. That's his end game.
I agree with you, but for someone who we've been introduced to and we've seen scheme throughout the entire series, this seems like a really weird way to get to your end game. It's like, really, everything rests on Sansa and she's turned you down multiple times?
Yeah, he seems
All
like
right, what's
he's
your
still
plan
banging
B?
his head against that wall, like to a point where it's stupid and he should maybe try something else.
Interesting, but what else would he try at this point?
I mean, he
Would he
promised
try and align with
Cersei Sansa's
Daenerys?
head,
Yeah.
so we can't go there.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Danny, maybe?
I mean, so he has an ally. I don't know how much this is still going, but didn't he ally to kill Joffrey, right, with Olenna? Olenna, sorry. Yeah, so
and
could
I mean,
he be
was
playing...
responsible for Jon Arryn.
Could there still be a connection there between the two of them? Some grand plot?
Potentially.
I just can't see Tyrion trusting Littlefinger.
Oh, there's no
never.
way.
Yeah.
No.
So the
Him
moment,
or Varys.
Exactly. So the
They know
moment
better.
he steps into the throne room at Dragonstone, both of them are going to be like, nope, chuck him off a wall.
Yeah. I don't see that going well. But I will say with Jon and losing, that was a callback. They made a couple of callbacks last night to season 1, and that was a callback to Ned. and
Choking
little
him
fingers
out.
like,
Yes.
oh, the Starks, quick of temper, slow of minds. And I feel like they're trying to put you in the position. A lot of what they're doing here is to make us feel nervous for people, you know, and so we feel nervous for Jon. So mission accomplished, because it didn't go well for Ned and Jon is acting very much a Stark, very much his father, well, his uncle's son.
Brother, son
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of allusions to Ned
TBD.
and doing the right thing instead of the best thing. But I'm glad you brought up callbacks, because we also had a really big callback to season 1 with Arya.
That was amazing.
Arya.
So
Did you guys
good.
cry a little bit?
A little. I teared up a little
I
bit.
thought the wolf was gonna eat her.
Did you?
Yeah.
She was gonna lose a hand. I really did. I really did.
It
When
was
Nymeria
heartwarming,
shows
but
up.
when it kept going for a while, it's like this is too happy. She might get bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant if we teared up when we saw Hot Pie. Cause
That too. That too. I mean, they brought back Hot Pie as well. But okay, wait, Nymeria. There was a lot of speculation, and I agree with the eventual like analyzation of it. But what did you first think when she said, "That's not you"?
That's not you, meaning not that it's not Nymeria, but like, that's not you. You're not going to come home. You're free. You've got your family. It's not in your way to follow me anymore.
Yeah.
And for me, it almost, I'm wondering if that's her being like, that's not me to go home and then do what and then just hang out. That's not who I am anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
see, I took it in like the cheesy rom-com way at first, although I came around because I watched Benioff and Weiss after the episode explain that
They
that's,
talk about it.
that's
Yeah.
what they think. But I thought it was like, it's not you, it's me. Where she was like,
Yeah.
oh, you're right. Like, I'm the one who's really changed. I understand why you don't want to hang
That
out
was
with me
really
anymore.
funny. Every guy in the room that I watched that scene with said that exact same thing. They were like, when a girl says it's
all
not
heard that
you,
before, yeah.
what they really mean is it's not me.
I'm with you, Danielle. I mean, and I loved how they explained this, the idea that she said that to her father when he presented this life to her, that, oh, you'll be a lady and you'll wear a dress and you'll get married and have babies. And she's like, that is not me. You know, she's never been domesticated. She has always been a wild thing. She is far more feral now due to her life circumstances. And in the book, I get one, and that's it.
Ding.
She has a far closer relationship with Nymeria
Right.
than we've been allowed to see. And so they are very linked. And Nymeria is now wild and feral and undomesticated, and she can't just go back to Winterfell and be sort of a wolf dog. But neither maybe can Arya, and I feel like maybe this is a moment that she's not going to go back. I agree with you
Yeah.
that she's going to turn back the other way and be like, I'm not that person now.
I didn't
You
see her. I don't see her turning back.
Well, you
at
can even
this
see
point.
how uncomfortable she was in the cold. The Starks are
Yeah.
cold. They're cold people. And you could see that she was like miserable being cold. And I think that's another sign that like, that isn't my life anymore.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the Starks do nothing if not embrace cold and wolves and a million different jackets and stuff.
That's a good catch. Yeah, I agree with you totally. That she did seem a little uncomfortable. On second rewatch, after I had read the same thing by the showrunners, beautiful acting by Maisie. You really can see like the sadness and then the understanding and then the compassion and just like almost a little bit of joy that her wolf has found her own path too. I mean, it still broke my heart, but
she
it was
seemed
really well
happy,
done. Yeah,
right? By
yeah.
the end of it.
She did by the end of it. She seemed like she got it. She
Yeah.
understands.
Yeah, and great acting from her throughout. I don't know if you want to talk about her and Hot Pie.
I
at this
do.
point,
I
but
want to go back to Hot Pie.
It was such a good scene from her because she's kind of like playing at being the Hound. I thought.
Yes.
She would like the way she's eating, the way she's like barely speaking to him. And it just doesn't quite fit her. I mean, maybe it's just because the actress is a young girl, but it seems like a young girl trying to act like the Hound.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sorry, I love you, Hot Pie, but maybe lay off the pies a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. I love you. I'm sorry.
But when you brown the butter, it's so
It's
good.
so delicious.
You brown the butter. I mean, I
Stop.
did like that little callback too with browning the butter. Have you been making pies? One or two.
One or two. I like how much pride he takes in his work.
It's great.
I
Yes.
love Hot Pie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hot Pie,
I
you
love-
be you.
I loved it, and I also it's a nice. That's another moment where you get to see. I think a lot of the stuff that we saw with Arya Comic-Con.
It's because he
Yeah.
called her Ari.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's like so much of what we saw here was showing like who she was versus who she is now. And so you get to see a lot of that in her relationship with Hot Pie, where he's like, what happened to you? Like, who she, again, just she was Ari, and she was different, and she was even like, she wasn't like a happy-go-lucky, but, you know, she was definitely a warmer version of herself than she is now. And so, yeah, for her, a lot of the journey of this episode is, am I going to go back to who I was, or do I continue being who I am now?
Yeah, and I think even that small smile was like her accepting herself a little bit, though I don't think that's the last of the direwolves we've seen. I know it's expensive and they don't want to bring them in, but I do think, and I don't know if it becomes a repeated Deus Machina, but there's this idea of wolves, a pack of roving wolves being out. Can I do another in the book?
One more.
Thank you.
Ding! You guys have each had more.
Yeah, we've had
I don't think
multiple.
I had
Oh, well.
one yet at
We need to
all.
come
I
up
don't
with
think I've done any yet.
You've each had like 2. I've done none, which
We should have
shocks
a
me.
punishment developed for
We
this.
really
but-
should.
We need
Yeah.
a shame bell.
You guys decide how we're punished.
Hashtag watching Thrones. But yeah, I can see a Wolf Ex Machina. They seem like they'd come in handy in a final battle against the White Walkers. Like, oh, the wolves are coming! Look, it's the sun breaking, and there's the eagles and the wolves. And I can see the forest friends coming together on the side of good at the end.
Well, I mean, they do.
Forest friends.
I did like that moment where
I wouldn't
Arya
mind
kind of
it.
turned north. And just had that little like moment leaving Rivendell and just being like, could follow the Lannister soldiers, but chooses to turn north instead.
Yeah, which
For
is why I
now.
can't see her turning back. But then I'm thinking, oh, they have like dicked around with Arya's plotline last year where nothing
Yeah.
seemed to happen. So
Yeah.
she could just go back and forth for the rest of the season. Like, oh, but I should. Oh, but I shouldn't.
Well, I do want to know what the audience thinks as well, and there is another caller on the line from Skype. So, hi, who are you, and what did you guys think of Arya coming back and reuniting with Hot Pie and Nymeria?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, what's
Nice
going
to see
on?
you.
Nice to see
How are
you.
you?
I'm happy to say this is what I was looking for last week when I said that, I just wanted something to happen. I feel like I got that this episode. A lot of stuff happened. So I really am glad that they're getting stuff done now. They're doing some plot points. I think Roth hit it on the head. Arya is... and all the wolves reflect the characters who have them. And Numeria's story is very Arya's story. Nymeria is forced to go and be wild and on her own, and she's found her pack because of that. And Arya's sort of in the same boat. She, was on her own, and she found her own identity. And I think that the realization of that as well is going to kick in. And I agree with Roth. I think she might actually turn around and go back towards King's Landing again. Which she'll get to in a day because time doesn't mean anything on this show.
Exactly. That's why I think she'll be up north, because everyone has a jetpack and she'll just pop
That's
up
true.
next episode.
Well, and there is a possibility as well that she does make it up north, and she gets there and she hangs out, and she's like, okay, well, we got the reunion that everyone wanted, but I'm skedaddling immediately under the cover of night, and I'm not telling anyone I'm going. Like, I'm coming to say goodbye, and then I'm leaving to go handle my business that I might not come back from.
Which, by the way, we're not going to get the reunion. They're going to cross each
'Cause
other.
John's gone,
She's
yeah.
going back to go say hi to John, and it's just going to be Sansa.
It's gonna be
Wah, wah.
Sansa.
'Cause John's-
Wah, wah.
Not her favorite sibling.
There's actually, in a way, more tension there because it's not her favorite sibling. Because if it was her and John, that would just be entirely like a warm, loving embrace. And like, look what I learned to do with Needle.
Yeah.
And he gets a little terrified.
And you know who I love we're not talking about? Bran.
No, not at all.
No one
Doesn't
even
matter.
bothered giving John a heads
Yeah,
up.
we'll
It's
wait
like,
till
Bran,
answer.
actually, I was thinking the same thing. Like, where is Bran? When are we going to
No
get back
one
to
cares.
Bran?
No. And Jack, what do you think it's going to be like
not
when
true.
Sansa and Arya meet back up?
Are you sure that they're going to meet back up? Because there is also the possibility that John could encounter Arya on his way down to meet Dany, and that's where the reunion happens, and then she decides not to go back north and go do her own thing once she sees where John is. Because that's where I thought it was going to go.
Solid point.
She's going to run into him because it's the same. I mean, he has to leave Winterfell. She's in the north, so.
That's fair, but I feel like he might be taking he's going to have kind of like entourage and army, and she's by herself. She's not going to go by like the King's Road. I feel like, I mean, you
she's
see
lurking.
her kind of
Yeah.
off the road, and she's kind of doing the wolf thing. But that is definitely a possibility. That'll be, either way, that'll be a cool Stark reunion.
just looking at our map here to see.
I know, right? It still goes
Where's White Harbor
straight
there? Yeah.
up there.
I almost thought that was what the horse was. Again, there were people coming, and then she was going to look around, and all of a sudden there's like the army, and then there's...
Will we get another Ed Sheeran cameo? Do we think?
I want more every episode.
No.
3 Ed Sheerans.
No.
I want it where it goes
just
by in
pops
the
up.
beginning, and all of a sudden it's just like an Ed Sheeran. And it just bow, bow.
I
If he
really
pulls his
do a
face
quick
off and it's
redirect?
stereo, that's the one redeeming way.
May I do a quick redirect and then I'll get out of here?
Sure.
look, we've waited 7 seasons. I want to know what a eunuch looks like. I know it's a stupid thing. We have a sexy. The opportunity was there. Come on, Game of Thrones, just do it and get it over with. The curiosity will end, and we can all move on.
Grey Worm had it in his contract. Thank you, Jack. Grey Worm had it in his contract that he wasn't going to appear unmanned. He was like, nope.
So I did wonder if they were going to go there.
Right. Yeah. It was weirdly like the question hanging over that whole otherwise touching but maybe a little exploitive sex scene. Yeah. We were thinking like, where are they going to show the
stuff?
They're going to do the thing?
What should I call it? The pocket? Yeah, whatever.
The thing? I mean, did we ever officially...
The D-minus.
The D-minus, I like that. Did we ever officially get the story about whether it's the pillar and the stones?
He said
or
root and stem.
Okay, so he's a Ken doll.
Yeah,
all right,
smooth.
Cool. God, how...
Or not.
And
we'll never know.
Let's be honest, a very generous Ken doll because
he clearly compensates.
Yeah, he's not feeling. I was thinking about that watching that. I was like, this poor guy. He's not feeling sexually aroused at all, but he wants to be intimate with her and take care of the fact that she would be. You know,
which makes sense when you think about the rest of the Unsullied who paid the hookers to just kind of cuddle essentially.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
remember
that
back then? Yeah, until they got their throats slit.
Right.
As you do. Yeah, but this was a very touching moment and something I know a lot of people were looking forward to. It's just this moment between Grey Worm and Missandei. So that was really nice to see.
Yeah, it was nice. I thought it was a nice counterpoint to, you heard Cersei earlier in the throne room talk about, these foreign barbarians, the eunuchs, they're just these monsters who are coming, and then you see, they love too.
Well, but that's what those are the tools that she's gonna try and use to sow these seeds of doubt and tear the houses apart and all, that's how she's gonna try and win here. Plus now she has a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into that. Let's get into Cersei down at the throne room with Qyburn standing next to her and
I'm sorry,
spreading all the Westerosi fake news.
That did not ring like to me. He had a crossbow. Do they not have crossbows back then? That was like.
But it's a very fancy, complicated crossbow.
It's very big.
It took all of the best people in the world to make this crossbow.
I was expecting better, Qyburn.
All 5 of them that are left after she blew up the Sept of Baelor.
Yeah. And also, you've only got one. Dragons move around. How do you move it?
It was like a 300-year-old non-moving skeleton that he shot.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Was anyone else disappointed with kind of how small Balerian's skull was? I mean, I was expecting it to be like twice as big. He's 300 years old and he's the same size as Drogon.
No, I saw a comparison shot between the two. He's bigger. He's way bigger. Yeah.
Okay.
Like the Drogon's head can still kind of like wrap around Dany, but this one is like.
If you saw that, because the one perspective shot we got of Drogon with Dany on his back now, it seemed like he was much bigger.
Maybe it shrunk over time.
It's entirely shrinkage.
Well, no, they did mention, don't they? Like that's. Dang it. Ding. I was doing so good. But I believe that they do mention that over time the dragons had begun to shrink. Yeah.
But that one down there is like the legendary one that he conquered Westeros on.
Yeah.
Well, that was where you get the nice callback of like the dragon skull as big as a cat's. That was good. Because the idea is that I'm piggybacking off of your end.
Okay, so it counts as half.
It doesn't count as mine. That eventually what happened was they started keeping all the dragons in the dragon pit, and that stunted their growth because there wasn't allowed to like fly free, and eventually died out that way.
It's in the show too, so you got a full pass. You get a full pass on
Doing
that.
Okay here.
But I'm just let down by Qyburn because he created the mountain zombie, which is so awesome, and he has like the pits of dragon fire, which is so awesome. I thought he was gonna bring back to life for something. And he's like, I've got a crossbow.
Yeah. When he was going down there, I thought the same thing. I was like, Frank and dragon.
Cool,
But. Okay, in defense, just because we only saw one weapon doesn't mean he only has one.
Right.
And isn't there a history of like that they really can kill a dragon?
Yes. Dragons are not invincible. They're
Killed
definitely.
Smaug.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the one hollow under his arm, and I mean, and it was barred, and it was a black arrow. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. They definitely can be killed if they're lying still and not moving and are within range.
So do you think that this is like the Chekhov's gun situation, or do you think it's just
totally?
Yes. Or is it really actually just designed? Because here's 3 different things it could be. One, designed to like make us think that she stands a better chance than she actually does, and so that it creates tension throughout the season instead of just being like, well, you're not going to beat them, and then that continues to be true. Or 2, it is a Chekhov's gun, and one of them does die, and they're only to be immediately reanimated.
You could have an ice dragon situation.
Ice dragon
Or 3,
situation.
Qyburn like forgot to do his homework, and he's like, "Oh crap! What do we have?
Or it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
Honestly, I would love to see a human get hit with that.
yeah, that'd be
I
fun.
want it.
Oh my God.
I do. I want it. I want it bad.
Yeah.
How dark would the how?
into it.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Just think of whoever your least favorite character is that's still alive.
Yeah,
and
as
just
soon
go,
as
"Wow."
Tyrion becomes a
you
dragon
pick?
rider, it just
He gets pinned
it's
to the
just
dragon.
fails his-
I want that to hit Cersei.
Oh, okay.
How amazing would that
okay.
be that that's how she dies?
Yeah,
Who would you pick?
Tyrion. I just think it'd be funny.
God, Star.
Just keep going.
I think you hit it at the dragon and Bran drops down dead.
oh, there you go.
Oh, okay.
That could be
Still
a thing.
coming for him. Still
Yeah.
coming for Bran. We're not finished with you.
Well, with Cersei, she does have that kind of rousing, not really speech in the throne room to all of the lords, but there is a really cool moment later with Randall Tarley, with Samwell, I keep wanting to say Samwise, with Samwell Tarley's dad and Jaime later on in the hallway. So, I mean, how important is Randall Tarley really to all of this?
I think that he's. What's interesting is we're going to get to see ultimately where his loyalty lies, right? Because the Tarleys are some of the most loyal people in the show, and I don't know if he's going to want to go against Oleander.
Olenna, yeah, we're all screwed
Olenna, I
now.
know. I don't know if he's going to want to. Like, that relationship clearly means something to him. So then, what do the Lannisters have to do to finally win him over? Like, how do you get him to come
Well, they
over?
appeal to his inner racism. They're like, you
There we go.
can't let Dothraki on our shores.
these
no,
barbarians.
Those swarthy Dothraki.
And these unsullied in their eunuch ways. I mean, that's contagious, you know? I mean, you hang out with them long enough, who knows what happens to your bits.
Tarly seemed like enough of an asshole that, like, I can see the carrot and the stick thing working. We're like, these people are foreigners, and also you get to be Warden of the South, was it? He promised him Warden of the
South.
something,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's,
The carrot
I'd
and
buy
the stick
that.
a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't exactly have a big enough stick on this, but I guess Warden of the South is a good enough carrot.
And this is, I think, going to be some of the ways that we are going to get into a position to go, I don't know who is going to win, you know, because right now they've stopped the Dornish army. So now from coming and laying siege, right?
From the siege, yeah, they stopped the siege.
They stopped that. But so now they only have the Tyrell army, right? And maybe now they don't.
Tyrell, then dragons and Dothraki and
From what I
Unsullied.
No, I'm saying
Understand,
but the Unsullied are heading to Casterly Rock, so this idea of the siege working is now entirely undercut.
It's shot because the Tyrell army, unless they go by land, has no way to come back up and hit King's Landing because the fleet's been completely destroyed.
Yeah.
So they were on their way to Sunspear.
Yeah.
So they hadn't picked up the Tyrell army just yet.
Oh, okay.
From what I
Yeah,
understand,
that's-
right? Okay. They were promising the Tyrell and the Martell army, so they're all just still chilling down in Dorne, as
Which
far
is
as I
another
know.
reason why I wonder if that is who snitched.
Yeah.
Get it
Yeah.
before it gets to her army?
Yeah.
That is possible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's sneaky.
I don't think it needs to be one
I thought
of
you were saying
them.
Olenna.
Just-
You think Olenna
yeah.
snitched?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
There's
if,
enough
if someone
Iron-
did.
There's enough Ironborn who were like probably have some friends back in the other
Yeah,
one. That I
that's
don't
true.
think it needs to be revealed that it was someone on the council. But yeah, you're right. They're all suspect at this point.
Everybody's suspect. I side eye everyone.
Yeah. My whole thing is like, if Varys is no longer the master of whispers and little birds, what good is he?
Right. What does he do? Other than be like, I listen to the people. How?
If you're no longer the spy master, what do you bring to the table?
So we're
Right.
assuming that's 100% done. We're assuming he has no more.
I mean, I haven't seen any evidence
he has
ever
his
since he
own
brought.
band of little birds.
Have you seen any evidence that he has knowledge of, like, my little birds have told me, or any
He
kind
hasn't.
of special secret? I haven't.
Not
so
really.
yeah, we'll see. Unless he kind of comes back to that, I don't know what really he can do for her.
I like that he got that whole speech from Dany, but Ilaria just kind of flew under the radar. I mean, she killed her king.
Yeah,
She betrayed her ruler.
I'm glad that Tyrion mentioned the Myrcella death, though. I mean, at least throw
Whoa.
that in there.
Yeah, but he ordered her. Like, I'd be a little more upset with the person that ordered my personal murder.
Varys.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, she's already kind of put
Like-
Tyrion in a little bit of a trial by fire. Like, he's already
Yeah.
passed through and been okay now. Varys had yet to come under her judgment. So that was nice to have that moment. But we do also have the one last moment in Dragonstone with a return of our favorite red pyro, Melisandre.
Yes.
She made it to Dragonstone.
The beautiful crypt keeper that she is.
Tales from the crypt, but gorgeous woman, and telling Dany about a prophecy.
The prophecy, and that leads us to this week's
Maester's lesson! Yay!
Drop
We're
some
talking about the
science.
Maester's lesson.
I keep feeling like we should
'Cause
have
I'm
like
not-
exciting graphics.
We do.
We
We
do.
do.
Let's do that.
Yay!
Yes.
I want
That's
explosions and like I want theme music, guys. Can we get on that? That would be great. So we're talking about the prophecy of Azor Ahai, and this is the guy that Melisandre's been talking about ever since we started to get to know her. First she thought it was Stannis, then she thought it was Jon, and it seems like now, based on what she told Dany, that Jon still has a part to play, but it seems like now she actually believes Azor Ahai is Dany. And to understand this, Azor Ahai was the legendary hero that saved all of Planetos back in the thousands of years ago.
Did you say Planetos?
I did. the last time, I can't even take credit, I wish I could. The last time that the Long Night happened, thousands and thousands of years ago, when the White Walkers came around again. So Azor Ahai was the hero, and he's kind of this legendary figure that all of these different religions around the world kind of agree upon. Different religions call him different things. Most notably, Old Nan mentioned him to Bran back in the day, calling him the last hero. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But Azor Ahai is the main name that everyone kind of calls him by, especially Melisandre, so that's what we're going to go with. It goes along with the prince that was promised prophecy, the idea that Azor Ahai is going to be born again, and he is going to be the one that actually saves all of Westeros and Essos, I can't say Planetos again, saves all of them this time around. So there's a couple ways that you know it was Azor Ahai come again. There's a couple signs, and this is what Melisandre's really going off of to try to pick her chosen one. There's born under a bleeding red star amidst salt and smoke. There's mentions of dragons. There's a mention that it specifically will be born of Aerys and Rhaella's bloodline, so those are Dany's parents and Jon's grandparents. And there's also a bit about Lightbringer, but that's its own legend in and of itself, and we'll be here till next week if I go into that. So just, there's a flaming sword, it's mentioned, it may or may not be important. Rhaegar Targaryen, who is Dany's brother, thought it might be him. He was kind of I know, I love this picture. He thought it might be him. He was kind of a scholarly lad, and then apparently locked himself in a library for a week, came out and was like, apparently I gotta be a warrior. Eventually convinced himself that it was his son Aegon who might be the prince that was promised, but since both of them are dead, probably not so much. So now the best bet that it's looking like, and who it's been kind of pushing towards all series, is Dany. She was born under a bleeding red comet, which was over the pyre when she burned Drogo, amidst salt and smoke. You know, you've got sweat, you have tears, you have the smoke of the pyre itself. Obviously, there's a bit of a connection to dragons, maybe. And she is Aerys and Rhaella's daughter as well, so you have that bloodline going as well. So she's been the most obvious choice. Jon is also a pretty heavy contender for it. You've got the same comet that appeared over his birth, I believe around the same time. Amidst salt and smoke, possibility that when he was brought back, his wound was, I get my in the books reference. This is Maester's Corner. This whole thing is it. You get the wound was smoking. You have obviously the salt, people were crying. There was a thing of a bleeding red star. There was one of the people at the Night's Watch who had stars as his tunic, and he was bleeding because they'd been in a fight. You have the dragons because he is of Targaryen blood. We can all safely assume that now. And obviously, because you have the Rhaegar and Lyanna connection, you have the same bloodline that Dany is from. So those are the two best contenders for it. There was a fun theory last week that the Hound might have been a contender, just because they mentioned, now all of a sudden he starts seeing visions in the fire, and there was a thing of him being born of fire and salt and smoke from when the mountain crashed his face against the fire. Close to a guy with a flaming sword right now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
hanging out with the flaming sword.
Hanging out with the flaming sword. And this could be a thing too, because part of the prophecy, although it's not canon maybe, but that the dragon has 3 heads, taken to mean that there can be more than one, and it's going to be kind of a multifaceted Azor Ahai. When you have the Azor Ahai prophecy and you have Old Nan talking about the last hero, there's a certain little thing that's kind of fun that she talks about, where the last hero went up north and what actually happened to him. He went up with his horse, he went up with his dog, and he went up with his sword, with his 12 companions, and one by one they all died. We know that Jon has a Valyrian steel sword.
Probably has a horse.
Probably has a horse. Probably has a dog if they decide to spend any of the budget on Ghost ever again. And possibly the 12 companions. You know the Brotherhood Without Banners is probably going to make it up there. You've got his brothers on the wall. There is a mention, Old Nan doesn't go into exactly how Azor Ahai beat back the night, which would be really helpful right now, but Sam actually comes across a text where they talk about a Valyrian steel sword killing them. So it's not like something we didn't already know, but it's nice to know that that might have been part of the Azor Ahai legend as well. And the main thing that we learned from this episode, which we would have known anyway had Melisandre just continued with her High Valyrian Duolingo subscription, that apparently prince that was promised is a gender-neutral noun and could also mean prince or princess.
Yes. Throwing another. And there's also, so we won't get in.
Nicely done.
Yay!
Boom,
Yay!
explosions.
Yay, explosions! Thanks, guys! Thank you.
You are my book
All
to
I
screen
want.
hero. Yes. So, like, can
Very
we just
impressive.
do one of these?
There's a lot.
There are a lot of things, but there is a theory, and let's correct me if I'm wrong here, but Lightbringer is the sword, right? That
Yes.
in order to basically activate your Lightbringer, you have to make a sacrifice of someone you love. But there's also this theory that what the dragons are essentially Lightbringer, the weapon,
The flaming sword of the sky.
the flaming sword of the sky
Yes.
that will work. And Daenerys made a sacrifice when she tried to save Drogo of her child that she was pregnant with, her son.
Because only death can pay for life.
Because
Dude,
only
I left
death
this
can pay
out
for
of the
life.
Maester's Corner for a reason. We will be here until next week.
You want to talk about the Blackfire Rebellion? Like, let's go.
Yeah, I know,
Let's do
we got
this.
it. But you're right. No, the legend surrounding Lightbringer is really important, and it's super open to interpretation. Because as we know, it's not like Melisandre is like batting 1,000 when it comes to correctly
but
predicting
she says that.
things.
She says it's dangerous. Do we think it's dangerous for us to get too down the rabbit hole, or is it just fun?
I just
So
don't want
just fun.
Daenerys to add any more to
Yes.
her title introduction. There's already enough in there.
So many. Lightbringer, Azor Ahai Reborn. Yeah. Well, kind of went through all the things that I mostly want to talk about. We got, out short of Lightbringer.
Well,
we got this.
no.
What-
Do you think that this new prophecy elevates the theory that it's multiple, more than one?
I think so.
Yeah.
I definitely. Danielle, what do you think?
No, I absolutely agree. I've always thought that it was going to be, especially that the dragon has 3 heads and there are so many people coming together. I never thought it was just going to be like one person. It was always going to be multiple of them coming together. I really like that Hound theory.
That was fun.
Especially with him kind of in his redemptive, like, figuring out what he's going to be doing. Oh.
If the Hound saves the world, yeah.
no,
That's the
I'm-
kind of unexpected thing I want from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I've fallen in love with that theory now.
That's a good redemptive arc. I definitely enjoy it. Well,
Probably not true, but
I want to get back to the actual. Oh God, I'm post Comic Con right now, you guys. I'm
We're all
so
dying.
sorry.
No, you're killing, girl. You're killing it.
The ongoing series right now of Raging Throners. Our
Yes.
favorite moments
Let's
from
pop some.
the episode. Let's pop some Raging Throners. Spencer, want to open this up?
Yeah, sure. Mine is more of a character moment, and it wasn't necessarily like a oh yeah moment. It was when Theon jumped off the ship. It got the biggest reaction out of me of the whole episode because I think that it just made me feel so many feelings. It comes on the heels of that close up of his face where you can see Reek taking back over, and I'm like, no, not again, no, don't. And then you can also tell that like he had a chance to step up and die or be a coward and live. And it's just that kind of question that really gets to your gut that moment really gave me a Raging Throner for.
Yeah. Roth.
I was gonna do that, but I'm now not gonna do that. Instead, although I will say that single tear
Yes.
from Yara was also pretty, like the total disappointment and betrayal in that moment was pretty amazing too. But I will instead pick the reunion because it was
one?
between Nymeria and Arya, because I really do think it was a great callback. It was subtly done, maybe too much that you had to like make sure to hear the after the show to fully understand what it meant. But I do think it's this moment of absolute acceptance of everything she's lost, of who she is now. Both the wolf and herself, and the fact that she can never regain that innocence. So I thought it was a lot packed into a little moment between a woman and her wolf.
Well, shoot. Okay, so I like.
Can we take yours?
Oh no. I had a little moment where I liked with Yara and
Theon.
not Theon. Elar. That little that really flirty.
The foreign
That, like-
invasion.
The foreign invasion.
That was too much. But I liked the little flirtation. But I really liked that moment when that giant bridge tooth thing came down, and you hear that as the guy gets crushed. That's the moment that I love.
That was kind of like Yara and Theon are just staring at the ship for 5 seconds, and then the guy couldn't move.
Everyone else was moving.
No one serpentines in this show ever. And for my Raging Throne or something, we actually didn't get a real chance to talk about, unfortunately. But Sam curing Jorah.
Yeah, that was pussy.
Getting into it, that was. And I think if I'm gonna pick a thing for Raging Throner moments, I would just say the transitions in this show.
They're very like Edgar Wright, where it's just like a disgusting thing to something nice, and you're just like, oh, but I'm laughing.
Goes into
or it becomes disgusing because it's that to food.
Yeah. Chicken pot pie is ruined
Don't
forever
show it.
for me. Thanks so much. Oh God!
No more Marie calendars for you.
None. Oh, forever. But such a good moment. I love those edits. So So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Kristin Chenoweth, for joining us. Oh my gosh.
Can I leave the audience with a question? Because I'm curious. Do you guys think that they are going to subvert the tropes that basically now we do have sort of chosen people heading towards a definitive destiny? Or do you think they will utterly surprise us with like the Hound takes it all?
I gotta think George's got one more trick up his sleeve.
Okay.
One more. I don't think there's too much that's going to surprise us, but there's going to be one more moment over the next 2 seasons where we go, holy shit, that was like the Red Wedding or Ned Stark dying. Just one more. Not a lot.
We really want your opinions on this. Use the hashtag Watching Thrones. Tell us what you think. You can always Skype in during the episode. We would love to hear your thoughts. Spencer, where can everyone find you?
Right here. All day, every day. And hit me up on Twitter at Spencer J. Gilbert.
Roth Cornet.
I'm also right here, and I am at Roth Cornet on Twitter. And thank you, Michele, for being the brain today, because man, Comic-Con,
someone had to do it.
You killed it.
There's whiskey and caffeine in this coffee.
I think there'd have to be.
I mean, and Danielle?
You can find me at Danielle Radford on Twitter. You can find me on Hyper RPG, doing a Valiant Vanquished, which is like a role-playing game that takes place in the Valiant universe. It's actually canon, which is crazy.
Awesome. You're official.
It's official. And you can also find me on my wrestling podcast, Tights and Fights.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Well, my name is Michele Boyd. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Definitely use that hashtag Watching Thrones, and we will see you next week.
This episode was presented by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.